All right, welcome to Box the Base. I'm your host Vic. That's my co-host Josh, and today we have a very special guest, Jack Mcmullen. My bad if I mispronounced your name, but yeah, just introduce yourself and let the people know what you do, and just for our
Of
audience to
course,
know.
man. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I don't know if it's very special guest. I would say just guest, but yeah, I'm Jack McMullen. I'm the radio play-by-play announcer for the Miami Marlins. So I've seen you guys on Twitter, and you guys do a great job, and you guys are good Marlins fans. So I figure, hey, let's talk some ball for a little bit.
Yeah. I also want you to bring up what you guys do with just baseball media because I think that's pretty like cool and just like give people an insight on what that is if they don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, so that's how really I started off in this thing. 2021, I got involved with a couple of friends from school, Aram Layton and Peter Apple, and we have Just Baseball Media, which is a podcast network. We've got, I want to say, 10 to 15 shows on the network, and what we really set out to do is kind of create one-stop shopping for baseball coverage. So podcast network, editorial stuff as well. We've got a website with a whole bunch of written content and some BBWAA members that write for us. We've got extensive social media platforms, but we have a prospect podcast and obviously a Major League Baseball podcast and a college baseball podcast. So we really want to make sure you don't have to go anywhere else for baseball coverage, and that is about 5 years old at this point, and it's been great. So Just Baseball Media is the name of the company. Podcasts are the Just Baseball Show, the call up, on the clock is our college stuff, all that jazz.
Yeah. So, kind of moving into the episode and some of the topics we have here, the way we kind of set it up here was that I took a lot of the general MLB stuff and MLB related stuff, and then my co-host here has a lot of the Marlins stuff, and
Cool.
we usually start off talking about the Marlins. So I don't know if he wants to rattle off some of the topics here and get us going.
Yeah, I took your expertise. So here I'm sure you'll know a majority of the questions that I ask here. I want to start off with a fun one. I know you're able to talk to the players. What is your favorite Marlin to talk to in the clubhouse?
That's a great question. I love chatting with all these Marlins. It's a young clubhouse. It's a fun clubhouse. Like they're all just genuinely good dudes as well. Um, I think that the vibe that Max Meyer gives off is very fun to bounce back and forth with. He walked up to me in the clubhouse the other day and was like, "You fired up about the Oilers, man?" I haven't watched hockey in 10 years. I haven't watched. So, it's just that kind of thing with just back and forth, little joking nature. I love the way Ryan Weathers thinks pitching. So I'm a huge fan of talking pitching with a Ryan Weathers. But in terms of a jokester, Max Meyer is hilarious. And miss having Griffin Conine in the clubhouse because Griff was always a great
Oh,
conversation.
Yeah, that was
yeah,
honestly
man,
a
that's
tough
so
blow.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I'm gonna pick on one before we get into maybe the less positive topics. But how about Augustin Ramirez, who, I mean, before the season wasn't on anybody's top prospect list, it seemed, and all of a sudden he seems rookie of the year candidate. How do you view his season so far?
It wasn't on anybody's except for Arm Layton's on justbaseball.com. I
That
think
is
he was
true.
top 60 prospect in baseball. So, yeah, Augustine has been such a joy to watch. He hits the ball ridiculously hard, and that's the thing that jumps out to me. Like there was a single he hit in San Diego that was 99 miles an hour up and well off the plate, and he somehow like defense mode flicks a ball 100 miles an hour off the bat the other way for a base hit. And obviously like 111 off the bat to the pull side is really cool, but for me, it's the B swing, like not his best swing, resulting in a hard hit baseball that's just jaw dropping to me. And he's really handling catcher at the major league level. I know that's what a lot of people were concerned about. It seems like he's doing a fine job back there right now, and the bat is such a joy to watch every single night. You have no idea, when the ball's going to jump off his bat, but it will. It's a question of when and not if. So huge fan of watching Augustine so far this year.
Yeah, and as somebody who gets to be at the ballpark early and see these players before the game, is there anything that he does in particular, like with his pregame routine, that you find kind of interesting or that stands out?
These guys all have a great pregame routine. They get there 5, 6 hours before first pitch every day. And typically the routine starts at the time that they show up to the ballpark. So I would just say the level of meticulousness that all these guys are at is a treat to watch from my perch up in the radio booth, but it's also a treat to watch, just being up close and personal and seeing how these guys go about their business. Augustine is a big human being. I think people appreciate that when they watch on TV or listen on the radio, but you don't really understand until you stand next to him and it's like, wow, you're a big guy, huh? And the fact that he can move his body so quickly and so balanced is really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think my co-host here can chime in a little bit, but we both like every time he gets a hit, we just text each other immediately, and it's like, I mean, it's incredible like what he does. Even like you said, his B swing, not his best swing, and it's still like feels like he's barreling up the ball every time.
Yeah.
He's just got a nasty swing, man. He's got a nasty swing. Like he smacks the ball hard. I don't remember what the last Marlin. I mean, the last Marlin I could think that I had a swing that nasty was probably Stanton. And
Right.
well, we all know how hard he hits the ball. But yeah, man, it's fun to watch because of how hard he hits the ball.
So I will tell you, his favorite player growing up was Pujols. His favorite player was Albert Pujols.
Oh yeah,
Apparently, when he showed up to Yankee camp when he was an international free agent signing, his setup was a carbon copy to Albert Pujols. Like his stance was identical, and they said, "Okay, let's change some stuff." But you can totally see the
you could see
similarities
it.
there in the swing and just the vigor that he swings the bat with. Obviously, I'm not saying Augustine's going to be Albert Pujols, but it's really funny to see just how similar those setups and bat paths are.
Yeah, and now that you bring up Albert Pujols, I do want to mention, I mean, he is from the Dominican, and I'm curious if at some point in his career he won't play for the WBC because isn't Albert on that staff now, I think, for the
I hope
Dominican?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, man, I know Sandy has expressed interest in playing for the World Baseball or for playing for the Dominican next year in the WBC, but I think Augustine should absolutely be in that mix. And hey, if he makes a push for National League Rookie of the Year, why couldn't you have that guy on the
Why
roster?
not?
I'm sure that would
yeah.
be a dream.
And I mean, I think it's a perfect time that you bring up Sandy because this is another one of our topics we have listed down here, and he's had a rather interesting season,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, he's coming back from Tommy John. He hasn't looked the same. Even I think he's looked worse in a sense compared to what 24, not 24, 23, which was his last full season. But
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely doesn't look like a Cy Young form, even though a lot of people have said that like he's gonna have to wait, give him time to really recover from Tommy John. What do you see? Because I know recently you put out a tweet that I think his glove positioning was different in his last start.
Yeah. I think he's trying stuff. And, that is not going to be something that it pertains one to one, like a direct correlation to his mechanics when he actually does get going, but it just kind of loosens his shoulders. AJ Ramos, I was working with on the radio side during the West Coast swing, and AJ made a good point. He said, just do it at home. Sandy, what he did is he went from the patented glove over the nose and mouth, looking over the leather, to having his glove pretty much sitting at his letters on his jersey before he gets into the wind. And he said, just do it at home. You put the glove, and you cover your nose and mouth, you're going to feel your shoulders a little tense. And then you put your glove and you put both hands kind of by your chest, and you're not going to feel those shoulders tense up. So I think he's looking for any cue to really not have himself tense up. It's been weird because there are so many starts that Sandy has made where you leave saying, he threw better than the line would suggest. But at
Right.
some point, like that's not good enough for Sandy Alcantara. And I know it's not good enough for Sandy internally too. Like he's spoken with the media after every single start. And he says, like, I'm sick of that pretty much. I'm sick of me throwing better than the line would suggest. And it always seems like it's an inning, right? It always seems like it is one inning that kind of gets away, and the other 4 innings, it's on Sandy, cruise control. He's dotting 99 or 100 miles an hour. And I really think we saw that Sandy return in Chicago in that start against the White Sox, where he was putting 99 or 100 wherever he wanted. Before that, you could say, he's playing with some fire right now. He looks like Sandy for like 3-4 innings a night when he gets the ball. And then it's this one inning that just kind of snowballs on him a little bit. Maybe he's too over the heart of the plate, or he loses the release point with the changeup. And for me, the changeup is the X factor for Sandy Alcantara, because that was his Cy Young pitch. That was his pitch that got him through 230 innings at a low 2 ERA. The sinker is there right now. I think flat out. I think the curveball at points is there right now. But when he doesn't really have the release point for the changeup, and when he's not putting it at the knees or starting it at the knees and dropping it shin high, it opens up the rest of the arsenal to be hits. And I think he's just looking for that one start where he's got everything going for the entire time.
Yeah, and before I turn it over to my co-host on this topic, I do want to say that, at least from what I've seen throughout his career, he's never been the biggest swing and miss guy.
Ever.
It's been more of like soft contact, rollover grounders. Do you think that makes it tougher returning from Tommy John compared to a guy who has swing and miss?
So a little bit. If I were to like put together a little pie chart, like I would say 30 to 40% is that, where he is a pitch to contact, pitch to balls on the ground type of guy. I would say 60% is the changeup is always the hardest pitch to get back from Tommy John surgery. Like you ask anybody, velocity is going to come back right away. What are they lacking? They're lacking feel off the fingertips. You can get away with that if you're a breaking ball guy, because it's really just grip it and rip it, right? You have the grip and you're just going to snap off a slider and you hope it's nasty. Same thing with a curveball. But with a changeup, you really need to feel that ball off your fingertips. And when you're working your way back from a major elbow surgery, it's just kind of impossible to feel that right away. The old adage about Tommy John surgery is it's what, 12 to 16 months return to play, but it's 24 months for you to feel right. And I think this guy, he's returned to play right now. By the end of the year, you should see this guy starting to feel right, because then he'd be 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, and I kind of want to throw it over to you, Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, when you talked about the one blow up inning that we're seeing in a lot of his starts, do you think it's more of a mental thing? Do you think that people just get a beat on him? Or do you think that, yeah, basically, is it mental, or is it more that people are starting to get a beat on him in that inning and then they're batting him around?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like it's an execution type thing within the course of that inning. And, whether that's mental or physical, I'm not entirely sure. Sandy's one of the best competitors that I've ever been around. Like it's amazing to watch this guy work and go about his business. So he's not giving in. Like there's no way that it's, a leadoff single and he goes, "Oh, here we go again," and he lets his guard down.
Right.
It's probably just, in that inning, he may not have the feel for a certain pitch. That takes the pitch out of the toolbox. And then all of a sudden, your arsenal is cut by a pitch. And this guy, maybe over the heart of the plate a little bit more than he was previously. You have to be so perfect in Major League Baseball. I mean, you've got to line the perimeter of the strike zone. As soon as you enter the danger zone, like as soon as you've got a ball clipping the entirety of the strike zone, like you might be screwed. You know what I mean? Like that's Major League Baseball.
Right.
That's Major League hitting in 2025. You leave a pitch over the heart of the plate, like guys are going to hit it hard. I was talking with Jeff Nelson, who's our analyst on radio right now for the homestand,
Yeah.
and he said, you look at every pitch that damage is done on, it's over the heart of the plate. Like, and when there is a when there is a ball that is a well executed pitch that is hit deep, like we acknowledge that. It's like, oh, it was a good pitch, just a better swing. But really, every single highlight you see, every single hot shot double, every single home run you see is a pitch over the heart of the plate or right around there. It could be firmly on the outer half, but if it's entirely on the plate, it's going to get hit. Hitters are very, very good. And if they can eliminate a pitch in one single inning and they get a pitch over the heart of the plate, they may not miss it.
Yeah. Um, so kind of moving along here, I wanted to ask you this because now you're getting, as opposed to maybe like last year this time around, now you have more of a inside look at the Marlins organization, being able to be in the clubhouse, being able to talk to the team, whether that be the players, the coaches, maybe even Peter Benedict if he's around.
Yeah.
How do you view this organization in terms of their future and prospects that are down there in the minor leagues and just yeah, their future in general.
So I have loved getting to know everybody, and that has been my favorite part of the job, to be honest. Like, in AAA, you show up, you call the game, you do a lot of administrative stuff, in AAA, right? You do, roster moves and you make lineup graphics and things like that. It's just minor league baseball. But getting to the big leagues, it's more about the baseball than it ever has been in my life. In Indianapolis, and I loved my time in Indianapolis, but some of the story was Bluey's in town on Saturday. And now that's not really the story. The story is baseball. And I get to chat with people about baseball because that's the job now. And I'm so grateful that it's come with the Marlins organization because I'm seeing an organization build its way up. And I have had great communication with Peter Bendix over the course of this season. Met him initially during the interview process, actually, and then, in spring training. And I chat with him. I try to chat with him about once a week. And it really just seems like everybody is aligned in where this organization is going. And from the inside, and I'm sure that you guys can see it on the outside as well, this organization is trending like upwards very, very quickly. They've got two legit catching prospects in Augustine and Joe Mack. How many other teams in baseball can do that? Like Thomas White, I know the command hasn't been there with his last handful of starts, but Thomas White hit 100 miles an hour in spring training from the left side, and he's got a nasty slider changeup combination. Ryan Weathers is so far and away the best version of himself right now. He looks like one of the best young left-handed pitchers in baseball. Max Meyer, I know he struggled as of late. We're a month removed from this guy punching out 14 in a Major League Baseball game. Like, there's a lot of moving parts here that are trending in the positive direction. And this is, 2025 is a season where they're figuring out who is here for the long term. And they found guys in Kyle Stowers, right? They found guys in Connor Norby. And Otto Lopez looks like a great shortstop. You can see the fruits of the labor really paying off right now in 2025. And I know the record may not indicate that right now, but you guys are watching the games pretty much every night. You see what's going on here. And the Marlins are trending in a very positive direction.
Yes, I just want to throw this over to my co-host. What do you think?
So before we move on to any outlook prediction for you, I wanted to ask you, you brought up Norby, you brought up Stowers. What, I wouldn't say Norby so much, but what would be your biggest surprise for this season on the Marlins?
Stowers' ability to hit four seamers up in the strike zone. That, like, actually, it was a blue zone for him. He couldn't do it last year. And you saw him 94 plus high velocity up in the strike zone. Like, he was striking out a lot. What happened on opening day? He got 97 up in the zone from David Bednar, and he ripped it down the line for a walk-off single. Like, what happened against Mason Miller? He got 102 and he hit a walk-off grand slam. For me, that's like, oh, you have that in your bag now. Like, you're doing this. Good for you. He made an adjustment, and that's turned him into an all-star this year. You know what I mean? Like, he should be the all-star. Voting opens on what, Wednesday?
Yeah, time to
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah, I
Time
know.
to
I'm
vote.
sure Marlins fans are going to be, flooding the ballot box for Kyle Stowers. But that's the big surprise to me. Honestly, with how well Augustine has just hit out of the gates, that's been
Yeah.
surprising. It's great, but it's been a little surprising, in a good way. And then I don't know. I was expecting big things from Ryan Weathers. I wasn't expecting him to look like this.
Yeah,
Like,
he looks great.
he's great. And then one more for you. They found a closer on the waiver wire in Ronnie Enriquez. Like, that guy is gross, next level gross. So those are kind of the ones that have been surprising to me, but in a good way.
Yeah, and I kind of want to bring up somebody. I think I'll take his question and bring up Liam Hicks, who's been
Yeah,
hitting amazing. And what I like about that ties into this conversation is that to me it proves that the team can find talent. And I mean, nobody really. I mean, I heard that they picked up Liam Hicks through the Rule 5 draft, but I didn't know what to expect. I knew he had never played above Double A when I looked up his name. I didn't know him before the Marlins got him, and it was like all of a sudden he's just hitting like is that a test to their development or just their lack of finding talent?
Can it be both? Like I think it's probably both. You know what I mean? And Liam has been number one, a joy to get to know. Number two, a guy that has improved over the course of the season. Like he showed up really before anybody else. You know, New Year's hits and he goes to Jupiter and starts working on all the catching stuff with Joe Singley, our major league catching coach. But Liam, you know, the Rule 5 draft, you're right. Like he hadn't caught a game above Double A, so you think, okay, there's going to be it in acclimatization process. He's got to get acclimated here. But no, Liam, it's cool because the 411 on him was he's never going to strike out. Okay, what does that mean in terms of power? Like catchers that never strike out, chances are they're going to slap the ball around the ballpark. Liam's got a little juice here, huh?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that there's a guy on Instagram, the Barrel Blunderer Award. Have you seen this? Like he's tracking everybody in Major League Baseball without a barrel,
Oh,
and
I've seen
Liam
it.
was one of
Yeah.
like the final 10 qualified players without a barrel. But what that didn't factor in is this guy squares the ball up all the time, and I know Baseball Savant has like squared up percentage. That's Liam Hicks. He has a knack for finding the barrel, and he's starting to swing the bat very hard. And that in turn has resulted in some of the highest EVs of his career. Like he hit a ball 108.5. I saw Liam the next day. I was like, you know, you had that in the tank, and he was like, I do now. So it was great to see because this guy has not lost his feel for the strike zone. He's still not going to punch out as a catcher, but he's hitting the ball hard. He can hit his pull side home runs, and he has a knack for driving in runs. Man, he still leads all NL rookies in RBIs.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Josh.
Yeah, I think the majority answer this year would definitely be Stowers. I feel like
Yeah.
everyone would say Stowers. Liam Hicks is a good one, and yeah, man, definitely Weathers. When Weathers first made his start, I texted him and I go, "Wow, this guy looks great."
Yeah.
And man, he has looked good. I'm excited, and I believe he's the only lefty at the moment in the rotation, right?
He is. Yeah, we got two lefties on the staff. You got Weathers in the rotation and then Cade Gibson in the bullpen.
Yeah. And I do want to mention with Weathers, not to throw this on myself a little bit, but I mean, I kind of relate to the story of what he did in the offseason because I recently went through and lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I heard him doing that, I'm like, that's pretty cool, especially someone who plays sports. Like, I like seeing athletes who take care of their body and, do it to get better. So, I mean, when he came back, that's like one of the things that we talked about, like, immediately, like in his first start in Chicago, we texted each other. We're like, dude, he looks amazing. Like not only from pitching wise, but it was like from the way his body looks and the way he's able to control it better. I mean, and that was a big topic in the off season and even in his first start.
It was really cool just chatting with him about it. And it wasn't the keto diet; it was the carnivore diet. So
Yeah,
he
I believe it
was,
was that they mentioned. Yeah.
yeah, but he was really just limiting carbs and sugar, and those were the kind of things that he wanted to cut out. And no, it's cool, man. Like the funny cliche is everybody's entering best shape of their life season at spring training, right? I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life. There are very few guys that are actually in the best shape of their life when they show up for spring training. I remember before I actually might have been year one with the Phillies. It could have been Nats. I think it was Nats. Kyle Schwarber, when he was in Washington, was actually best shape of his life. And they asked, what changed? And he said, I cut out the late night eating, like getting away from the post game spreads and all that, and like just having a piece of fruit or something that tied me over until the next day. Like that was the thing that kind of unlocked it for him, and it made his metabolism great. And Weathers, with a diet change, shows up and he literally is in the best shape of his life, and all of a sudden he's throwing harder than he ever has in his life too. So, yeah, really cool, and I love when hard work pays off tangibly like that.
Yeah. So unless you have any other Marlins topic, Josh, that you want to cover, I kind of want to throw it over to MLB stuff.
I think one last thing before we move on. I wanted your 3-year prediction for the Marlins. I know it's hard because it's so soon, but more or less your 3-year prediction on this team.
I'm not going to give you record or anything because I'm the team radio guy. But
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
of course.
what I will do is I think you see this team filled out 1 through 26 on the roster. Um, and what I mean by that is you've got 2 legit catching options in Augustine Ramirez and Joe Mack, and maybe Liam Hicks. Maybe you carry 3. We see Liam play first base for the first time on Sunday. And then I think you figure out what's going on in the outfield, whether that's Stowers and Conine and Myers, or maybe it's somebody in the minor leagues like a Kemp Alderman, or in 3 years maybe an Amarion Boyd who's stealing 60 bags a year. It seems like the infield you get a glimpse, and then you've got Starlene Cabo working into the upper minors, and you have answers at first and second. Otto Lopez is settled in somewhere, and Norby is settled in at third base. So I think over the course of the next 3 years, you're going to see position by position this thing fill out, and you just can stress free hit the pillow at night saying, the Marlins have the right guy at third base. The Marlins have the right guy in left field. The Marlins have the right setup guy. I think that's the course of action over the next 3 years.
Yeah. So this is something I've actually made videos on, like just on my own, but and I'm gonna pair them together. Roman Anthony and Jack Caglione are the 2 biggest prospects in MLB.
Yeah.
When do they get called up? What do you see? I mean, to me, personally, if I was in the position of the GM for those teams, I'd have them up already. Because we
Yes.
know the Royals lineup isn't the best. Their team OPS is not that great. It seems like Garcia and Witt are pulling a lot of the weight there. And the Red Sox have seemingly struggled a lot to their potential.
Both those guys. I wake up every morning and I'm checking. I'm like, are they called up yet? My answer is the same as yours. Like yesterday, they need to be up yesterday. Cags is an interesting one because I was thinking Caglione may hit a snag in AAA just a little bit because he's so swing happy. He really chases a lot. And I was thinking, okay, you run into the 30-year-olds that are throwing 89, but they know where each pitch is going. They may piece up Caglione big time, but he's gotten better in AAA than he was in AA, and that's hard to do. I mean, I think he's OPSing about 1,100 through his first week and
Yeah.
a half of AAA baseball. And I'm so fired up for my friend Nick Batters, who's the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers and the International League buddy. And I mean, he's having a blast right now. I just texted him the other day. I was like, how about the Cags show, huh? But Caglione, he needs to be up right now given where the Royals lineup is. And I just saw Nate Eaton got called up by the Red Sox. Like, are we doing Nate Eaton instead of
I
Roman Anthony?
I aside from Marlins Twitter, I tend to follow a lot of Red Sox Twitter, and I was just curious. 'Cause a lot of people were saying that he got called up, so he could be the guy designated for assignment when they do call up Anthony. Do you think that's where they go with it?
I don't know if they grab contracts to just DFA contracts. Like, you know what I mean? I think they probably viewed Eaton as a time buyer, much like Sogard and much like Toro. Like, they've got so many guys that are plug and play 4 through 9 in this lineup right now. That's like, how are we bad news bearing this thing when we have a guy OPSing 1,000 and hitting 310 in AAA?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be awesome when they both get called up. That's where I'll leave that topic.
Hope so.
I don't know if Josh, if you really followed. I know you're not as big of a prospect
Yeah,
follower.
I would say I'm not that big of a prospect follower here and there. I mean, the only prospects that I really know of are the Marlins prospects.
Sure.
But the prospects around the league, I'm not really that big. But I did want to ask on the topic of the Red Sox topic. What is your take on the? I mean, we have different opinions on this. What
Yeah,
is
we've
your
gone back
take
and
on
forth.
the Red Sox endeavors situation?
Can I know where you guys lie before I answer?
I'll let Josh go first since he asked.
Personally, I mean, I don't know if I'm in the minority, but personally, I don't think he has to. I think he's earned the right to not have to, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that he already has his contract, like he's paid, he's there through age, I think 36 is what it is, and if the team tells him, I mean, obviously, we're not in the room with the team to know every detail of the conversation, but if the team
Right.
tells him, like, it's best if you go to first base because that helps us right now, I think he should be a bit of a team player, especially if he wants to be, I don't know, a multiple time World Series champion. Like,
Yeah. I think I align a bit more with Vic on this one. He's an employee of the Boston Red Sox, and I understand that he's the highest paid employee of the Boston
Right.
Red Sox. Like, he's
Right.
probably the most important figure in that organization, but who was he promised that he was going to be the third baseman by? Who was he given the contract by? He was given the contract by Chaim Bloom. Where is Chaim Bloom? Chaim Bloom's in St. Louis. So when Craig Breslow asks you to do something, and I'm going back to the spring training one where they ask him to
Right.
move
Right.
off the third base so Bregman can play third base. Like when Breslow asks you to do something and his rebuttal is, I was told I was the third baseman of the Boston Red Sox. Like, well, man, you were told you were the third baseman by a guy who's no longer here. That was the interesting one to me. Now, Josh, I align with you on the DH to first base thing. It's like, okay, I
Okay.
understand that we're just kind of yanking this guy around. And right, it's, hey,
Yeah.
you're done with third, put your glove away, you're DHing. Oh, now we need you to play first. I understand that he is your most important employee. He's your highest paid employee, and you don't want to do that to him. And he doesn't want that done to himself. Um, but at the end of the day, like, this is a game, and they are your coaches, and the front office helps make decisions as well. Like, I just don't think a player is above the team right now. And there have been some quotes that just make it seem like Devers is above the Boston Red Sox at this point. And I don't think that is the case. But I worry that that's where he gets mentally at some points.
yeah.
That's valid. That's valid. I see that. I see that side of it. I definitely felt more strongly when the whole first base thing happened, as opposed to the third base.
And I
The third
totally
base.
get that. I totally get that. Like, the first base one was like, come on, man, can't do this to me. The third base one is like, you're being a little stubborn, Rafi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I can see both sides.
And I guess this will be kind of the last topic to round it out. But right now we've had college regionals going on, and I put out a tweet saying that like this is the season where players' draft stock can either go through the roof or where it goes to down the dirt. Like this is
Yeah.
where they make or break a lot of their draft stock. I kind of want to relate it back to the Marlins in a way, but just in general, who are some of these guys that you've seen like in college that you like in the draft?
Yeah, I haven't been as good with college ball as I typically am, just because year one in the big leagues, I'm trying to like
Yeah,
settle in a little bit. But um, I've checked in. I'm better with pitching than I am with hitting. Like, I really will make it a point to watch Jamie Arnold starts at Florida
yes,
State, and I love Jamie Arnold. I love watching that guy throw. We actually had him on the call up at the beginning of this year, and it was a great conversation with Jamie. Um, Bremner at Santa Barbara was a fun guy to watch. And then this kid Seth Hernandez, this high school kid that's just ripping 100 miles an
yeah,
hour. Like, good for you, man! Congratulations. You've clearly been eating your Wheaties, but um, yeah. In terms of bats, like the names that I've heard, obviously Ethan Holiday, the kid Willits in Oklahoma, the high school kid, and then Ava Arquette at Oregon State,
yeah.
Aloy at Arkansas. I know Laviolette had a lot of buzz coming into this year, but they didn't even make the tournament, huh?
No,
That's crazy. So,
yeah, they missed
um,
out.
yeah, it's interesting. I compare it a lot to the NCAA basketball tournament. Like, you guys are probably too young to remember Mitch McGarry at the University of Michigan. Like, Mitch McGarry out of nowhere became a first round pick because he had a good tournament, and he was nothing in the NBA. Same with Malachi Richardson at Syracuse. Like, Malachi Richardson, he helped Syracuse get to the Final Four in
Mhm.
2016, and it was like, okay, like, it might have just been a flash in the pan. That's okay. But it also is valid at points. I don't think Christian Moore is going as high as he did last year if he doesn't have the
Yeah,
NCAA tournament that he does. And he's one of the more outstanding players of the College World Series. I know the his teammate, Dreiling, was the most outstanding player. But like, Christian Moore doesn't go top 10 without that NCAA tournament last year in the College World Series. So that was cool to watch. I think we really appreciated who Skeens was as well at that point. And I got to know Skeens decently well in Indianapolis, and it was fun And just thinking about that draft process, because I was talking to him about the draft process, because it was Cruz forever in
Yeah.
2023. It was Dylan Cruz, Dylan Cruz, Dylan Cruz, and then it was Wyatt Langford for the last 48 hours. And then it was Skeens, and they made the pick, and it was Skeens, and it was like, whoa, what are they doing here? That's worked out pretty darn well for Pittsburgh, huh? Like,
Yeah.
I do think that the College World Series and the Supers and the regionals are good viewing if you want to know about the top dogs separating themselves from the rest of the top dogs.
Yeah, and I do want to mention for my co-host Josh that Jake Ogden, that I was watching the Miami game last night, and he balled out pretty good.
Yeah, man. He's I went to high school with him, and he's a stud. He plays for the Hurricanes, third base.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah,
I will keep tabs. What's his name? Ogden?
yeah,
Jake
Jake
Ogden.
Ogden.
Okay,
I'm pretty
I
sure
will.
he's draft eligible. I don't know what year he's in, but he is draft eligible.
I will keep
I
tabs.
do want to ask just one last thing before we wrap up here, but it's how do you view the Marlins at pick 7? Like you have, you've been inside the clubhouse, like said, you have a good relationship with Peter Bendix and stuff. Like obviously they're probably not gonna tell you a lot. I feel like that's a lot of the stuff that they keep private. But what what vibe do you get in general?
I don't know if there's a vibe as it pertains to a player. I it's weird because the MLB draft is a little bit more convoluted than any other draft, right? You're going to
Yeah,
draft based on need in the NBA and the NFL, but like the Marlins saw an opportunity to overslot a guy in Carter Johnson, so
Yeah,
20 picks before that, they underslot PJ Morlando by a little bit. So you play this slot game. It's like this it's almost like Tetris, I think, where you have some small pieces and then you've got some big pieces, and where do the big pieces go? Like, do you have a humongous piece that you take in the first round and then small pieces the rest of the way to build out the puzzle? Or is it a smaller piece in the first round and then you've got a couple of big pieces in rounds 2, 4, and 7? Like, it's weird to me, and I've got no idea which direction they're going in, but they have a great guy spearheading this. Frankie Polari is his name. He's the director of amateur scouting for the Marlins, and I think this guy is a genius when it comes to this stuff. So whatever they do, I'm gonna have full confidence in. I'm like, yes, I'm in.
yeah. So I think that'll wrap up this episode. I want to say thank you for being our guest, our first one since
first
we
guess.
our first
That's
guest
awesome.
since we've gotten together. I will make sure to link all of Just Baseball Media in the description, your Twitter, and if you guys want to listen to him on a nightly basis, I mean, you can check out the
You know
Marlins
where to
Radio.
go. Yeah.
So
You're
yeah,
the man. Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you all for
Hey, you guys are great.
listening. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out Jack everywhere on social media. I will make sure to link him down below. And yeah, everyone have a good day.